everything. And now I'm reading this, and it's all been done.
Yeah.
It's not that it's bad, but I'm just like, I've already seen it. I've already seen this 1,000 times. But when you were started writing it, no one had done this.
Well, it is Stephen King. I don't know that he needs another $1 trillion for getting it completely.
No,
right,
it's just so funny reading a book that was ahead of the curve and then came out way behind the curve. And it's like, how does that happen?
I mean, he ran out of cocaine, I guess.
Oh no, he's still. I mean, he's got like Derry. The character visits Derry, and I'm like, why are we in Derry, man? Just come on.
Everything's in Derry. That's why.
Fucking A. Small. You know what? That's when you start to get the Star Wars thing, where it's like, oh, it's a giant galaxy, but we're still focused on the same two people. Got it.
I think it's more of the Murder She Wrote situation.
I started playing Star Wars Outlaws this weekend because it was on sale. I just grabbed it, and it'd been on my radar a little bit. And it's so refreshing playing a game that's like, what the fuck is a Jedi? Yes, thanks, love it, great. There's other things going on. Let's do that. Andor, great. Let's do that. That's my bitch fest.
I'll tell somebody I know who worked on that. They'll be wow.
Well, they released that.
For the good news.
They released that game way too early. Is the problem? I think. I mean, there's other stuff too, but if you wanted to play Galaxy's Edge of the game, hype two thumbs up, which is cool. Yeah. Time and place. Okay. I got Speedball and I regret it. Okay. We'll go.
I'm sorry.
I got that one for free. It was fine. Let me take a sip. 228 is correct, right?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. You recording? Yeah. Yep. Okay.
I am. Yes.
Yes, I see it.
Yes. Am I?
Yeah. Yep. Says stream started 105 seconds ago.
Okay, great.
Okay. One sec. Sorry.
No sex.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Circling the Cup, San Jose Sharks podcast, episode number 228. We are back after a short little break, and quite a few things have happened here. We traded for Sherwood. We let Iorio go. Khrushchev and Smith are back. The Sharks put out a render for what the tank's going to look like for the short foreseeable future until they start building an inevitable new arena. And the Sharks come down to earth. So that's going to be a lot to discuss today, and I am very excited to be here. And, of course, here with me, as always, is the Honorable Ben. What's up, Ben?
I swear to God, my soul left my body when you said build a new stadium.
Well, they're building a new arena. I mean, they've already been having conversations about the whole San Jose Sports and Entertainment District and all that stuff, but it'll be in the same vicinity. And the Earthquakes might be getting a new stadium there, too, for all we know. Whoop-ah! And, of course, a little bit less energetic, I would say, than me right now, because it's probably cold in Sweden, is Colin. Colin, how's it going?
Well, yeah, it's cold, but at least you don't have a problem getting ice time.
Fair. I got my kids a knee hockey set, or midi sticks for you Canadians, and they've already broken like 4 things and torn holes through the knees of their pants. So I am jealous of you having more ice over there, Colin. As mentioned, lots of things to cover. We are going to start with what I guess would be the bigger of the news that happened while we were out. The Sharks finally make that trade for Kiefer Sherwood. They trade Cole Clayton, the 2027 round 2 draft pick, and the 2026 round 2 draft pick. And then, if you're not familiar, he is a UFA at the end of this season. So there are conversations in the fan base about, do you extend? If you extend, how much are you willing to pay? And also, shouldn't we let him play a few games and figure some of that out? But also, we've got the Olympic break. And so the trade deadline is also rapidly approaching. And what do you do? Kiefer Sherwood was injured when we did this pickup. He has since come back. He played 1 game before the break. First game, obviously, tough thing to really judge a player against coming into a new system, especially when coming off of an injury. This, for the Sharks, at least for the Sharks staff and players, seems like a fairly big deal trade, mainly not necessarily because Kiefer Sherwood is, pre-injury was kind of having, a career season for himself on a very bad Vancouver Canucks team, which is part of why he was getting probably the opportunities he was getting, but also because as we all know, the San Jose Sharks have been looking for a air quotes skilled, grinder kind of guy. We talk a lot about not really feeling the need in the modern NHL to have guys that can hit but do nothing else. Reeves, although great in the locker room, so we'll give him that. Kiefer Sherwood, to a large extent, feels like he might be that type of player. What do you guys make of this trade? Now, again, obviously, we've only seen him play a single game, so keep that in mind. But when it first went down, and maybe where you are now that the dust has settled a little bit.
Yeah, like he's a physical player. How old is he again? He's 30.
Yeah, he's 30.
What do we say about players who play smash and bang hockey in their career that they start to decline? What age is that
so
they
here's
start to decline?
But he hasn't been in the NHL that long, so
yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Different.
Oh, so we're technically getting like a 26-year-old.
Well, what you really
exactly.
what the thing that's interesting about Kiefer Sherwood, I think, and I'm not trying to make a one-to-one comparison, is he's very clearly a late bloomer. And the last time the Sharks have had a late bloomer, I would say Pavelski, probably different style of game. But every now and then you do get a player who ripens later. Happens. He was undrafted too, I think, right?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Yeah. So ripens a little bit later. But I totally hear you, Colin, because part of his style is that forechecking wrecking ball, which to be blunt, the Sharks haven't really had that in forever. I think I'm trying to think of the last player who maybe.
Well, there was Tomas Hertl's big ass. That was a wrecking ball.
Yeah, but he was. But he was more of a. But he was more of a park it in front of the goal, kind of like Pavelski style. I think the last time we really had a player who was this physical and had skill was the not to be mentioned probably Evander Kane before he went off the rails.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Had he not had the issues that he had from a skill and physicality perspective, he did have a very good skill set. Yeah.
I mean, I would say Timo Meier maybe up there, slightly more skilled.
Yeah.
But he could play like
not
a wrecking ball.
as aggressive. Like Timo, like he hit when he was angry.
Yeah.
Whereas Kane just, I guess, was always angry.
Well, Kane just wasn't happy unless he put his team in a bad situation with an ill-timed penalty. So
he got restless. He definitely got restless. He needed some drama. It feels like both on and off the ice, or he would get a little bit bored over there. It's interesting because just watching Kiefer in that first game and watching clips of him. Obviously, I hadn't been watching him too closely prior. He can skate. He's fast. Like he does seem to have a good combo. I think for me, when they first made the trade, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't necessarily upset with what they gave up because Cole Clayton's just doesn't look like he's going to develop into anything. The 2 second-round picks, would I prefer to keep the draft picks? Yeah, sure. It kind of depends on what they do here. I think what gets a lot of fans a concern would be really what it's going to take to keep a player like this and whether or not that's worth it. Because, again, at age 30, and this being kind of like, I don't want to say last chance contract necessarily, but for the style of play, it could be. He's likely, going to want, money in term. This is probably his last big attempt at a contract here. And doesn't have a big contract now. So he's looking for a pretty big payday here. Sharks have the money. I don't think that's a big concern. I think it's more a question, going back to what you were saying, Colin, about durability is term there because, he's on the wrong side of age, 30. Now, again, we saw players like Pavelski who that didn't really seem to matter a whole lot. Not saying that Sherwood is Pavelski, but we haven't seen him long enough to really know, right?
But look at what Pavelski did to stay relevant. He learned how to survive in like the areas around the slot and was just ungodly in tipping the puck and getting onto, greasy goals. So if Sherwood brings that, like if Sherwood gives Wenberg some like relief from having to be the only person screening the goalie. Cool, because you can really tell when Wenberg's on the ice and how the team plays around having a screen goalie versus when we're just trying to beat them with pure like passing skill and one-timers. Both entertaining. I just prefer a screen goalie in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, who else actually does the Wenberg job, formerly like the Pavelski job, formerly what like Hertl would do and Meyer would do? Like, we don't have those big bodies who are just gonna stand and be annoying.
I mean, it's funny that you say that because Wenberg's not that big a body, right? It's just
but he has such great like positioning.
He's very good at being in that right position. I totally agree with you. Like,
yeah,
and there are I don't know who else on the Sharks does that. I mean, I love Graf.
No,
as a
yeah,
player,
it's
but
not
he doesn't
him.
really,
It would be
do that yet.
It would be Shirney or Musty when Musty comes up, but realistically too, Shirney and Musty also have a lot of skill on top of that, and so
I think it's Chernyshov from what we saw, with his cup of coffee, he did try to be a Wenberg type, as I recall. So I think you're right there.
So
I think a little bit of the difference with Chernyshov though is that he, and again, I don't mean this as an insult to players who park in front of the net, but I feel like he's got a wider skill set than just that. And so you see him do a lot of wing play, right? Specifically. So if you're talking about like a dude who literally sits there and is just ready to be tipping, he's probably not going to do that as a full-time gig there. But the thing with Kiefer Sherwood for me is, having someone who is more aggressive on that forecheck, and he's very aggressive on the forecheck, who can skate, who's fast, and he can be defensively responsible, which he showed at least in that first game. For the most part, he had a bad penalty in there. That's a good type of player to have if you're gonna do it. And Greer constantly talks about, hey, I want to be tougher to play against. That means a lot of things to him, as he's sort of laid out. Speed is part of it, physicality is part of it. Again, we complain a lot about pylons. He's not a pylon, which is good. I think the two questions are: is it going to be worth giving him the term he wants, or can they negotiate that back? And then, if they do give him the term, where exactly do you put him for what you're paying him? Because that's the other thing is if you look at the players that we want to have coming in or coming up, Sherwood is like the exact guy I would want maybe on like a fourth or third line if he can keep his scoring up. If he keeps his scoring up, then I'll say third line over fourth line. But you also look at who the Sharks have, and guys like Smith and Kershaw coming back from injury, and all of a sudden it's like you don't really have a ton of room unless you do the thing that the Sharks don't seem to want to do, which is basically touch Goodrow or Reeves.
Well, Reeves.
And then even then, do you want to be paying a guy that much to be on your fourth line? I would argue if you're going to rotate your lines a little bit more evenly, which is going to be hard with Celebrini just in general, then sure. But if you're going to be sitting that fourth line, so they're only playing like 5 minutes a game, then a little harder. Sorry, Colin.
But like just in evaluating Sherwood, we say, we've got Cherney and Musty coming too, both of which I think we all think they're going to slot right in, middle six maybe. And so, as you say, where does Sherwood go? Like overall, for me, this trade is a why bother? You could have used the picks during the draft for collateral to like trade up if you wanted to, or do some other package. And I don't feel like Sherwood is something you can't go get in free agency if you absolutely need it, and we don't have the space. So for me, this is Greer kind of saying, we're not focused on the playoffs, but if sure would be good to have a guy like Sherwood, huh? And
I suspect, Colin, a little bit of what happened here is that the Sharks have made it pretty clear he's a player that they've been targeting for a while now, and I think two things are going on. One, I think that they were probably aware that, they might be able to get him once he hits free agency, but because of where, what he's done this year, his body of work this year particularly, there is going to be demand for him at the deadline, and they might risk not being able to get him at that point. I also think to some extent the Sharks are playing the culture card a little bbit, which is, look, get him in now because they probably do intend on extending him. I don't think they did this trade just for the sake of,
no, not with 2 seconds going out.
Right, no. Right. But also, it's really interesting because when you watched his trade press conference, you could see he was a little sad to be leaving Vancouver. And then, about a couple of weeks into being here, he's like super peppy. Now, obviously, there's optics and other stuff that are play there. But seriously though, with the Sharks specifically, there might be a part of Greer that was like, look, you know what? I know he wants 5 years or he wants this thing now, but let's get him over here. Let's have him see the culture of this team and the players and where it's going, and then see if in negotiating we can work something out there. Because he is walking into, for him, he is walking into a pretty good situation for himself for the next couple of years if he resigns. Go ahead, Ben.
I was just going to say, it's funny that you say he seemed to be sad to be leaving the Canucks while at the same time you've got Gavin McKenna committing crimes so he doesn't end up with the Canucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
But let me kind of run through my thoughts on this, this trade. Ahead. So I don't hate the player. I don't hate the cost. I mean, those second rounders are going to be middle of the round, if not further back, depending on how the Sharks finish this year. And then surely they're going to be even better next year if they can get rid of people like Ferraro. I don't know where he fits because they think he fits with Smith and Celebrini, but he doesn't really fit with those guys. I think he was fine in game one. But they're trying to solve a problem they don't have to solve, because if you put Graf with those two guys, that line is elite. Yeah. Period.
Or Shirney if Shirney's up as well.
Yeah, or Chernyshov. That's totally fine. So then it comes down to what are you paying for? Are you paying for a guy that is going to struggle to gel with the type of players that we have on our top line and ends up on the third line? And then as you say, Alex, what the fuck are we doing here? We have so many forwards right now and so many guys who should be slotting into this forward core, for the first time in the last game of the pre-break, we had a top 9 that didn't have a single embarrassing player in it.
Yeah.
But this coach, this fucking idiot coach, nonetheless won't change his fourth line philosophy. So what the hell are you doing? Why do we don't need a Sherwood? We don't even need a Skinner, apparently, right? And he was playing, and we all know, because again, our coach is a moron. He's going to play Reeves as soon as Reeves is healthy again. So you're trying to fit like 15 forwards into spaces you've already assigned to sub replacement level players that you refuse to let go of.
I think he fits on
that's
the third.
My big.
I think he fits on the third or fourth line, depending on what that second line makeup is and how it pushes things into the third. But
I only question this.
Yeah.
With the coach we currently have and his deployment decision,
yeah.
Right?
No, totally fair.
If we're talking about like a good coach who looks at the talent that the Sharks have and changes his system and his ideas to match the players he has, then absolutely Sherwood is your third line winger. And, you've got, you get rid of Goodrow, you get rid of Reeves, you get rid of Dellandrea, and you roll with what we've got, plus whichever guys earn their promotions up from the AHL.
Right.
That's my problem, is that what Greer is doing doesn't account for what his fucking coach does. Right?
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
The other thing that I think is a little bit weird, and I've heard this a little bit. I don't think I've heard this from the team. I've heard this from fans. I'm not sure where it comes from or why. But, some of the logic with trying Kiefer Sherwood on the first line was this idea that line needs a shooter. I'm sorry. You have
what?
Smith and Celebrini. No, I know, but that pops up as people look at it. I think there's a section of the fan base that even though they're scoring goals, feels like because of their style of play that you've got two playmakers there, and you need like a Jeff Skinner or someone, not Jeff Skinner specifically. Don't jump on me on that. Do you know what I mean? Like someone shoot
totally.
first. And I think I'm like. That's, I mean, first of all, Celebrini shoots just as well as he does everything else, if not better. Will Smith shoots great. He's like inches away from goals half the time.
Insane shot.
But like, you know, he's awesome. So I don't know that you need those. But I agree with you, Ben. I don't hate the trade. I don't really hate the cost, especially if they work out an extension. My question is just,
it seemed a little pricey. 2 seconds. Plus, again, who cares about the player that went the other way? But that felt like a lot for a guy who isn't signed to an extension.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't seem to be sure will, which leaves you in a space where, okay, let's say Kiefer decides he doesn't want to stay here, or the team realizes, maybe we'd have to overpay here, and we shouldn't because we're gonna have to pay Will Smith and Celebrini and Misa and all these other guys down the road. I don't know if you could recoup 2 second rounders from another team.
No, I don't think they have enough time. So I'm not a believer that they have any intent to trade him before the deadline.
I think in a situation like this, nobody ever has an intent to do that, right?
No, I know, but like he just came back from injury. They have the break, and the trade deadline's like right on top of it. You're not getting enough of him to do that. There's no reason for you to do that. The other thing that's worth pointing out too, for Sharks fans, is just because they don't sign him to an extension does not mean they don't re-sign him, because it could just be that negotiations go through the end of the season, pick up again. It happens all the time. So, I don't necessarily know that the Sharks timetable is necessarily as aligned for what they do with him is as aligned with maybe where some fans would like it to be, because they are concerned that, he walks and then we just gave up 2 seconds.
Right.
I don't think it was,
which would be bad, by the way. Like that would be bad to give up 2 seconds for, 3 months of a guy who then walks in a year that you shouldn't have been making this trade anyway.
It's criminal. It's criminal.
But the only thing I would say to that, and I agree, I typically wouldn't do this either that way. The Sharks are very stocked up on youth prospects, and they already have an issue with too many kids and not enough spaces. So I don't necessarily know. Like I see this really. If this was 1 second, that would probably be more palatable there. The second, the second, likely, it's not, to your point, Ben, it's probably not a high second. And they already have a lot of kids that are, a year off of that. So I don't necessarily know that it's the end of the world either. If it was a first, I would have been pretty pissed off. But
sure. If it's a first, that's fire Greer. That would be insane.
Right.
The other concern I have with Sherwood here is that, his underlying numbers are decent. They're not bad, right? He's not a total mirage.
Yeah.
But he is a guy whose shooting percentage has kind of spiked over the last couple of years, and that tends to not be super sustainable.
Right.
I mean, he's shooting at 15.6%.
But there's two arguments to that with the situation he's coming out of. And I agree with you, Ben. And I'm not just defending him, which this is why I'm not sure where he is with that. Because on the one hand, correct. On the other hand, have you seen the team he's been playing on? Like, seriously, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I hear you.
He's kind of been a diamond in the rough on a team that is really like, I mean, I'm talking like really bad. Like, I feel bad for what's his face being traded to them.
Oh
no, not even Pedersen. Like, like, I mean, like they are.
Oh yeah, they're bad.
And that organization is that junky. Like that organization right now is looking like the old school Sabres organization with the way that they've been handling their stuff.
But the upside is they're going to get whatever player doesn't commit a felony to stay out of the draft this year. Well,
right. But my point is, and I think you get it. Like, the fact that he's scoring this year, the way he's scoring this year on that team, means that like you would like to think that there's got to be something there, because otherwise, like, no, it's not all things being even.
Well,
like he shouldn't be. He shouldn't have those numbers.
But the way it showed up, the way it showed up is that, last year he had 21 assists. This year he has 6 because his team was bad, right? So what he was good at is the thing that he doesn't need teammates for, right? Which makes total sense. Being on a shooting bender, scoring 17 goals on a bad team, I just worry a little bit about, again, if we're talking about re-signing him and how much we pay him and how long he is with us and what his role is and all of those things together. Like, I'm not against a re-signing. I'm not against the trade. I just, there's a very narrow window of maximizing his value and his cost,
here's the fun thing, right? He's a couple of years younger. Do you care about this at all?
I kind of do, because we have Kiefer Sherwood at home.
Well, Pavel Regenda.
Yeah, like we like it's like Greer is one of those older ladies who just loves collecting those little like kid figurines, and like anytime they're out and they see one, they have to buy it. It's just a hulking mid-tier winger or forward. I gotta have it.
Does he hit people?
Does he hit people?
Does he hit people?
Yeah, hits them hard.
Does he occasionally go over the line and throw an elbow or something? Oh, yeah,
there is upside here to him. I mean, yes, he's on a shooting better, but he does draw penalties.
Yeah,
and that's real good. You want that on your checking lines. He's actually a good PKer. So he's
very positionally aware. Like
if you could just get over Barclay Goodrow, like we could actually have a solid forward core for killing penalties. I'll also get over Wenberg, because Wenberg is actually not good at killing penalties, but whatever.
But he wins face-offs
sometimes. And he's good at the power play. Sherwood is. So these are all good things. Honestly, I think his best value is if you want a disruptor, if you want a guy who is going to manage to keep possession of the puck in key situations, like, great, we have a power play specialist. I have no problem with that. Just don't fucking pay him 6x6 or some crazy.
I think he's the skilled positional power forward that we've needed for a while. However, I agree with you, Ben. I think it comes down to what is that term and what is that contract there. Yeah. And then even when you do sign him, just because of how the organization has been running itself, where do you put him? Now, to be fair, the Sharks have a fairly, it's hard to say clean slate because they have a lot of prospects that are ready to go, but they got a lot coming off the books. So their entire defense essentially is coming off the books, at the end of this season. So there is room for that stuff. But
Kiefer doesn't play defense, so that's another problem.
Right, yeah. But for those freaking out about the money, the Sharks are actually, they're contractually they're okay. They can afford to do this. I don't think it's going to wreck anything. The question is, again, I think for me, it's literally the only thing I care about is term. And then next season, not this season, next season, who are the Sharks keeping out of the lineup to have him in the lineup? So, for me, if he's blocking, guys like Musty, then I'm not quite as interested in it. If he's replacing guys like, Goodrow or Reeves, then I'm totally fine with it. If they don't re-sign Reeves this year, which I don't think they should, thank you for your service. You know what I mean? Then great. I'm happy to have Kiefer Sherwood right there. But otherwise, tricky. Now, the Sharks, there was another move here. There was a little bit of maybe the Goodrow, hey, we'll steal him off your Rangers if you take Iorio. So Iorio gets placed on waivers. This is in huge part really because of the contract situation, which again is the bed that Greer made for himself. Some people were asking why Iorio. It probably has to do with the fact that they thought players like Regenda had more value either to the team or in trading, and didn't want to risk that. Iorio was more expendable, even though, yes, they do need good defense. Maybe good is the key word there. So Iorio gets placed on waivers, and he gets plucked pretty damn quickly. A short stint with Iorio, obviously. I'm not bothered by this at all. I think the Sharks are going to completely redo their defense in this offseason anyway. I don't think Iorio was really looking like a long-term plan, and I think when they grabbed him, it was more of just a little swing, just to see, dip their toes in the water. Any thoughts on that at all?
I mean,
I won't miss him.
Goodrow.
Yeah.
I and it does feel like to me it felt like a future considerations dealio with the Rangers. There were only 4 teams between in the waiver order. There were only 4 teams that had to pass for the Rangers to be able to pick them up, and we know that there's been Greer Drury collaborations in the past. So
I worked there, right? So
yeah,
there you go.
So whatever. I mean, I don't think Iorio was actually the future here. I don't know who the future on the right side of our decor is, but I don't think it was Iorio.
I got to be honest with you.
I
don't think they're in the organization yet. I think that is going to be the major offseason target for the San Jose Sharks, and potentially
everybody else.
Potentially deadline. Yeah, well, of course, but yeah. All right, so we're all aligned. Iorio.
I mean, the other righties are Klingberg, Liljegren, and Desjardins, and obviously, I think the team is hoping that they can maybe get some trade value at the deadline for Klingberg at least. I suspect both Desjardins and Liljegren get re-signed in the offseason if they want to stay here.
I think Liljegren either gets flipped at the deadline or he
yes.
might or yes. But I think I would think if you are looking at trades, I would think that he would still be tempting enough for teams. He does have a shot. You know what I mean? I
think you could get something for Desjardins if you wanted to move him. I mean, he PKs well. He's big, and he's a right-hander. They're the 2 of those things are GM kryptonite. So
yeah. No, I agree. Well, hey, listen. Speaking of players coming and going, we finally got the triumphant returns of Kurashev and Smith, albeit just for a bit. Smith, I got to be honest, between the 2 of them, not super interested in seeing what happens there, only because I already have a good feeling. Kurashev is an interesting one because since Kurashev, departed to injury, Chernishev came in and lit it up, and then the Sharks managed to get Misa on there full time, and he's starting to turn it on a bit. And Kurashev had a really hot run up until his injury, and it was out for a long while. So he leaves and he comes back to a team that, again, especially with Sherwood coming in, all of a sudden there's not a whole hell of a lot of room. But I'll tell you what, I loved seeing him back. I definitely still feel like just in the 2-game small sample size since he's returned, that he still has a space here. I would definitely still be looking to extend or resign him personally. I think he's got a good combo of skill that caters to a bunch of the different lines on this team. I think when you look at Kurashev in a lot of ways, this is going to come off as a dig, and I don't mean it to at all because I love Eklund. But the way Kurashev has been playing this season is, I think, what I've been hoping, a little bit more of Eklund's game would look like. And I think for Eklund, it's just the bounces aren't quite going his way in full yet. I think he's a workhorse. He's an incredible skater. I think he's a great passer. So again, none of that's a knock, but I'm waiting for those goals to really he's centimeters away from having a crazy goal breakout. It just hasn't hit yet, especially with the number of breakaways that he winds up with. But Kurashev, his skill set, I think, complements a lot of the centers on this team. So I've been pretty excited to see him back, and Smith too. What do you guys take on Smith and Kurashev being back? How do you like that?
Oddly enough, I think I like Kurashev. I think he's everything you're saying. I think he's more of a offensive spark plug than Eklund. Eklund is just 200-foot dog. But we kind of have too much up front. So do I want Kurashev on the bottom 6, creating depth scoring? Well, yeah, and I can see him giving us that for another 5 years maybe if things line up nicely. But he doesn't bring forechecking. He doesn't bring strong board play. So does he fit in this team? I like his sort of off angle and unexpected shooting choices, because he always seems to be able to get it through traffic. But I don't know. Like, if you were to tell me somebody were going to give us 2 second-round picks for Khrushchev, I would be tempted. I'd be
from an asset management perspective, for what they got him for, that obviously wouldn't be bad.
Amazing.
One thing that I think really shifts the way that I look at this lineup is Will Smith turning out to be more of a winger than a center. And I don't think they should put him at center, to be honest.
No.
I think he's a winger. And I think that's great.
Shocked. He took a face off. He was like the first up for a face off in the last game. And I was like, I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah. Well, and listen, and that's not a bad thing. I like him up there, especially somebody. But I think, to me, that changes the dynamic quite a bit, because, when we were looking, when the drafts hit and all that stuff, and we got Misa, in the offseason, you were kind of looking at 1, 2, 3 down the middle there, with Celebrini, Smith, and Misa. Now, in all fairness, having Misa as your third line center, assuming he develops where it seems like he's going to develop, that would be insane. He really shouldn't be sitting on the third line otherwise.
No, but when will.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And so I do think, Khrushchev is one of those players where that decision for Smith affects him and his placement. I think Eklund too is another player who, where he fits on what line is somewhat adjusted to the fact that Smith is not going to be a center, there. So I don't know, Ben, what's your thought on it?
I mean, I think Khrushchev is a nice to have guy. I think he's been, a really good surprise, or not surprise. I mean, I think it was very clear that he's a good bet. He had a rough year because of injury last year. The year before, he was a 0.5 point per game player. This year, shocker, he's a 0.5 point per game player. If you had him on the third line on a future team, I think you're a Stanley Cup quality forward core, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But I do think he's expendable, particularly with the acquisition of Kiefer Sherwood. He's good defensively. He looks a lot like Sherwood in terms of underlyings, except he has no shot. Khrushchev's goals are kind of like surprise goals,
Yeah,
kind of like Eklund, actually. So I think
it's so weird, because when Eklund shoots, you're like, that's a good shot, but then it goes right into the goalie.
So Eklund is 3 years younger, right? If it comes down to it, and also scores at a slightly higher pace, both goals and assists. So I think that you've got the same player twice over, and you don't have the room for them. I think I agree with Colin. I think you sell high on him right now, and not because I think Khrushchev's a bad player or we shouldn't keep him. It's just that this is a forward core that is going to have to fold in Chernyshov next year, if not after the trade deadline. You have to. And Bistad is making a case that he might be an NHL player, so you're going to also have to figure out that situation. And then of course Musty at some point is going to be a winger, on this NHL team probably.
And NHL team.
Cardwell needs to fit somewhere probably at this point. It probably isn't with us, I guess.
I like Cardwell.
I like Cards a lot. He should be on this fourth line.
Oh, you have Lund coming around too. Yeah, Lund is very good as well.
You mean AHL All-Star Cam Lund?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that I'm definitely one of those people that usually goes to Sharks fans and goes, don't expect every single one of these guys to be in the NHL and on the NHL roster. Right. But I will say again, the Sharks have done a really good job. Chernyshov coming up, I wasn't shocked when he went back down, because I don't think that he was auditioning for a spot this year. I think he was literally out or up because of the injury situation, blew everyone's socks off, which, I think the team had very high faith in him. In the first place, he's been doing great in the AHL. Plus, again, he and Misa, when you put them together, they already had chemistry from, last season. So, but when they popped him back down, it wasn't a demotion. That was first of all, we just had you up to fill in here, and I'm pretty sure you knew that. By the way, you kicked ass the second we move people out on the deadline, or to your point, man, the offseason, one of the two. That guy's up. He's made the team as far as I'm concerned. Unless he comes back around, gets a massive sunburn, and has a terrible training camp again. We're very lucky.
He should be playing at the NHL level.
He should
absolutely acknowledge that.
Just
the decision to drop him was because they don't want to rightfully sit guys who should sit. So it's not a smart decision, even though, we know why it happened. And that's annoying. Like if this team is pushing for the playoffs, he 1000% should be in the lineup.
I don't think that. So
what are they doing?
Here's my take on it, right? Because I know it looks confusing with the Sherwood trade, but I don't think the Sherwood trade was just for this season. I think the timing makes it, the optics make it look good. I think the Sharks have said this. If you listen to Jonathan Betcher, if you listen to Mike Greer in his post games, if you listen to anyone on the staff whenever they do the interviews with Brody or someone else, they make it very clear that the team is beating their expectations right now, but that they are still on whatever timeline they laid out, which sounded like it was like a 3 or 4 year timeline. So, I think for them, they acknowledge the fact that the Sharks have been outperforming their expectations, and a little bit of a mirage there, yes, but outperforming their expectations because of the Celebrini effect, however you want to phrase it. But I don't think they're confused as to where the Sharks really are either. And so that's why I think in their mind, like, I'm doing air quotes here. You can probably hear my voice, but it's like, yeah, go for the playoffs. Like they don't want to, they don't want to completely, take the knees out from the team, but they also, that is not their primary focus. Their primary focus is not going, very far in the playoffs, even if it's just making the playoffs. For the players, that's different because they've had this belief since, even the losing streak. They were still talking about stuff, as early as that. And, honestly, that's what you want from your players. It's the staff you need to watch to make sure that like they read things correctly. You don't want to demoralize your team, but you also don't want to rush things and then get stuck because you bought into something that was actually not there yet, and you've made some bad moves around it,
like trading for Artemi Panarin.
What? A bullet dodge. Well, the funny thing with that one too is that like that's another one that had come up quite a lot, but even before the trade rumors here. So Dave in our chat asked a little bit earlier. I didn't pull it out, but with the Sherwood. When I said, they've been eyeing him for a while, or he asked, or are they just saying they've been targeting for a while for PR purposes? No, I think those two guys have been on their radar for a while, and they've made it pretty clear that those are the types of players that they want, and they're not, they're having trouble kind of drafting up or finding. So, but I agree. I like having Sherwood and Panarin in here. That to me is like, what do you? Okay, now you are misreading the situation. But again, for sure, for sure. Oh, go ahead. Go on.
Well, but isn't it worse than a misread if you do actually like stock up big like that? Because it's so obvious this team has no defense. Like we got no back tires. It is silly, and
I don't think the Sharks are ignoring that, though. It's really hard to fix that, and I think that they know that their best opportunities are going to be at the deadline, and then potentially, I say, just because they have so many guys coming off the books in free agency. Like if you want, the challenge for them is if you want the D that they want, you're going to have to give up something.
Like 2 first, 2 second round picks, like that's.
I don't think 2 second round picks get. I don't think 2 second round picks is going to get you that.
No, those end up being like the crushed nuts on the Sunday of the first rounds in a genuine prospect.
Oh no! I think you're giving up a prospect that we don't want to give up, and you're giving up a first rounder. If you want that like elite D that they're looking for.
Yeah, Eklund in a first rounder. We've been over this. I'm just saying is if this is a stock up for this year of maybe the playoffs, and if Panarin had come to the Sharks for some, I mean the spend wasn't that bad when you looked at it, like Green Tree and the condition.
Oh, that was a terrible return for the Rangers. Absolutely.
Well, it also sounds like it wasn't an option because it sounds like the only team that he was willing to wait for in the first place was LA. So there wasn't even really a thing going on there. And something worth pointing out, Colin. Then I'll go back to you here. That like especially as we approach the trade deadline, it is a general manager's responsibility to inquire if someone's on the block or might be available just to see what they might be going for. That does not Like, don't trust every rumor. That does not mean the Sharks are in on it because Greer goes, "Oh, you guys got Panarin on the buck? Like, what are you looking for?" That doesn't mean he's making a trade. It's you can inquire. "Oh, what's that guy worth to you?" "Oh, okay, never mind."
Sure. We can all window shop, but like, I'm just saying, is trying to stock this team for the playoffs and just piling more on the forwards
is not a solution.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's insane. So I sincerely hope you're right that this is a next season move for Sherwood to be like that force in our bottom six that produces scoring and can be defensively responsible while we get a whole new cast of defenders in here to maybe help.
I think at this point the Sharks, you never stand completely pat, but I think the Sharks, like if the trade deadline more forwards are coming in, I'm going to be like, what are you guys doing? You like honestly, I don't see the forward. First of all, I don't see the forward core as being a huge issue, and you can shed players and still have it be great. The second, now you're just further clogging with contracts and spots, even if you have stuff going out. Like you can make a really good lineup literally with what we have in the AHL and NHL right now, forward wise. And I think the Sharks know that. I think the Sharks on the defensive side of the ice, it will be interesting to see what they do with Nettie on for goaltending, because you can make a case that just having him around while Askarov continues to develop and running that tandem is fine, and then just focus all your attention on that defense. And then the Sharks, Sharks have better defense. The Sharks are absolutely in the playoffs. Like, I don't think it's a question.
Oh, 100%. This team with a somewhat reliable defense and a actual reliable puck moving defender who you don't need to worry about. Yeah, second round. This team is insane, and Misa is, like you said, just starting to wake up, and he is quietly showing he's going to be unreal too.
He had a great quote this week. I can't remember where I read it, where he was talking about what was shifting for him. And he said, basically, I am way too tough on myself. And in talking with Celebrini, Celebrini basically was like, you play and then you move on. You forget about that, right? And I think that was where Smith was to some extent in the beginning of last year too. And so I think, again, Misa has the IQ and he's got the skill set for it. Once he settles in, which I think will be more next season than this season, I think you're going to be looking at a situation very similar to how Will Smith has grown, and the Sharks are going to be in a really good position.
Yeah, I desperately want to see second line with Eklund, Misa, with Eklund just getting to set Misa up and getting the points that way while being the defensive responsibility.
Eklund, Misa, Sherwood probably is a useful line because the other two guys can't. I mean, Misa's got a shot, but he's not Smith level at that. So
no,
but Smith is insane.
Yeah,
Smith is so fast with that shot. So fast.
Both Celebrini and Smith have incredible releases. So
yeah,
I know, but don't you want to have like Bash Brothers on two sets of lines? You want to have throw Graf up on that first line with Celebrini and Smith because that's fun. And I know you love Sherney up there, but put Sherney with Misa, and then you got like you got your mini Celebrini Smith over there. And then
you've got two sets of heterosexual life partners ready to go for the next 15 years. It's great.
I love it. Let's go. A couple of things before we get to the games, and then we get out of here. So, Sharks showed off some renders for some of their arena additions. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that I think their lease extended out to 2030. There have already been discussions, publicly about the future of the Sharks and that area of San Jose. They're pushing very hard to turn it in. And I think I got approval too to push it into a sports and entertainment district. So the Sharks will remain in that area. And it's very likely that, in the next several years here, they will start, construction on a new arena of sorts. In the meantime, they're looking to make some upgrades to it, they want to make the inside of it look more like an aquarium, give it some more pizzazz. I got to be honest with you, as someone who's been to the Shark Tank a lot in the last year, both for Sharks and non-Sharks events, I still like that arena a lot, but it is showing its age in areas. The store is minuscule. Not that Fanatics can keep anything in stock, but for a NHL store, it's kind of a joke. And then the concourse for certain events, it does get pretty clogged and not great. So I welcome these improvements. I don't think that they're going to do a big thing. And the one thing I thought was interesting that I wanted to bring up was it looks like they want to do the CUDA thing. So, they're essentially going to extend out the lower bowl, and then behind the net, they've got their kind of like 1/2 story little bar thing like they have at the Akuta Arena. Now, I love that for an AHL team. I'd rather have seats for an NHL team, especially since they have like the new I forget what they call it, like the weird, it's not a press box, but like the VIP section up high, which just eats up an ungodly number of seats. But you know what? The outside stuff, like the presence of that area, having it be more Sharks themed and more media friendly and fun is super cool.
The thing I don't get, and you can help me out on this, is when the fuck are they going to do that work? Because like
this offseason, they're starting some of it this offseason. So what they're doing is they do 2-year cycles. They have improvements every year, big construction projects in 2-year cycles. But I agree, like they're going to wrap. I don't think they're going to do all of this.
Right, because like the tank doesn't just get used for Sharks games. Like they constantly have like concerts and other shit going on in there. So it just felt to me like
if you look at
it, really lose revenue.
No, if you look at it, here's how I look at it, Ben. First of all, they're trying to make the inside experience and the outside experience look a little bit more like what the Warriors have now, which is nice. I'm not a big fan of that arena, to be perfectly honest. I've been there a couple of times. But they're trying to get more of that, which is okay, and that can drive more business in some respects. Also, their lease with the San Jose Arena is up. I think. Again, don't quote me. I could be getting my numbers wrong, but I think it's 2030. It was where they extended it to. So what's probably going to happen is they probably won't really start construction on a new arena until like 2029 or 2030. Yeah, it's going to take a while to do because they're going to be building up the area, and they'll probably extend the lease a little bit further while that's going on. So you're probably further out from a new arena than it seems. But I think also like they don't want to lose events to Chase Center and other areas either.
Yeah. The lease goes all the way to 2050 if they wanted to.
Right. So, I mean, they won't. They'll build they'll get a new arena in that.
What I would expect, either they've got to renovate the shit out of this place or they've got to build something new for sure.
I think they're going to do a little bit of both. They're going to renovate it to keep it going while they work out larger funding and other stuff for an arena. And obviously they're working with the city for the sports and entertainment district now that they've kind of pried that away from Google. So there you go. We had 2 games. We did have 2 games, and I'm going to touch on these quickly, but really just to highlight something, which is playoffs, right? Because on this podcast and in another media, there has been a lot of like, hey, Sharks are overperforming. Sort of. There is a Celebrini effect, but they are also overperforming. You got to give it a little bit of column B for sure. But at some point, likely going to come crashing back to earth. Boy, I tell you what, this week felt like it was it because of these 2 games. Yikes. So the Sharks lose. I'm going to do both at the same time here, and then I'll kick over to you guys. Sharks lose the first of these 2 games to the Blackhawks 6-3. Now, what gets me with this game is like the shots on net after the first between these 2 teams was like
brutal
4-1. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a stat line where 2 NHL teams come out of the first period with a grand total of like 4 or 5 shots. Like, that is nuts. Now, that fortunately wasn't sustainable for those of us who enjoy watching hockey games. So, things did kind of pick up, but the Sharks, really, they struggled in this one quite a bit. Now, they did get goals at the end of the day from Will Smith, Celebrini, and Muka Medulin, who came back in and scored, which is great. And then they go, to the next game, which is like the day, not the next day, every other day. And they play the Avalanche. And the Avalanche, obviously, these are some cup favorites here. And the Sharks don't look good at all until the third. The third pops up, and all of a sudden, the Sharks wake up and they make a game of it and come very close to maybe tilting this back in the other direction despite two not really great periods. I mean, again, the first period they get outshot 5-14. The first two periods. Well, what I'm getting at here is in both these games, up until the third period of the Avalanche, the Sharks really struggled to get anything going. Anything going. And it was bad. And again, I'll give it to you against the Avs because the Avs are really freaking good and on another level. But the Blackhawks?
Yeah. It was such a terrible game.
So two things about this. So first is the Sharks have won, I think, a single game all year where Celebrini hasn't gotten a point. So that's the Celebrini effect right there, right? And he didn't get points in the Avs game.
Right. He did Chicago.
He did against Chicago. The other one is that this team can't get out of its own end.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the problem. It's partly, again, like we don't have very good defensemen, but also those defensemen make really stupid fucking decisions with the puck constantly in their own end.
Mario
Ferraro
supporting each other.
It's like, have the puck. I don't want the puck. Fires it down the ice for icing. Like there are two Ferraro maneuvers, as I call them on Twitter. One is to inexplicably pin himself to the board before anybody is near him and then lose the puck in a scrum, which he does all the fucking time. It's like, in NHL 25 when you hold the Y button.
Yeah.
Just starts scrumming against the wall. He's doing that when there's nobody around him. It's like, what are you doing?
I don't get why he's even in the rush half the time too. He just appears on the rush. I'm like, shouldn't you be on defense?
Yes. Pinching at the wrong time also is but and all of these things are things he learned from Brent Burns. That's the worst part about it, except for the pinning himself to the boards. I've never seen another defenseman do that in my entire life. But the huck the puck down the boards when you don't have to, and pinch at the wrong time are just, it's killing us. It's killing us.
Don't forget
man.
shooting into the shin pads in front of you.
Well, with Ferraro, it's more miss the net entirely, allowing the puck to go the other direction. Klingberg is the pinch at the wrong time, shoot the puck into people's skates guy right now. Anyway, all of which is like why we give up 14 shots and only get 5 of our own.
I was flabbergasted at the first period of the Blackhawks game. I mean, I don't know how two teams. I don't even know how you get two teams. I'm not even saying good teams. I don't even know how you get two teams on the ice. You can put a beer league team on the ice, and they're going to wind up with more than 5 shots in a period. Like that is crazy.
That
was like the sloppiest hockey I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, like where is the parade planning squad for these games? Because like the Blackhawks game was just boring, and
it was boring
and just not like a whole lot of nothing. The Avalanche game, when we were down like 29 shots to 5 or 6 or something, and down like 3-1, or it was getting run over repeatedly because, as Ben says, we just like the forwards cannot play.
Well, there's also
the defensive positions and the forward positions at the same time. Colin Graf cannot pass a breakout pass to himself.
He could try.
Only Celebrini can do that.
And Kurashev occasionally. I mean, the other problem is the over-reliance on the fourth line in situations where, like, how could you possibly think that putting the fourth line on the ice is the right call here?
Yeah.
It's crazy. There are times I swear Wars is like his deployment is like McClellan. It's just like, I have no idea. I'm either gonna put the big bodies out or the workhorse skill guy out, and the workhorse skill guy just came off, so I guess I can't put him out.
I am ready for him to go. I am ready for Warzo to be fired.
Can I ask you I'm going to shift gears here for a second here, because this is a whole nother podcast, and let's save that one for after the break when we have a larger body of evidence there. Are you guys, and I don't want to make an hour-long conversation out of this because we got to get moving here, but are you guys at all concerned about fatigue for Celebrini playing in the Olympics?
Yes.
I was concerned with fatigue for Celebrini before the Olympics started. So.
Yeah, Actually, not. One, he like he's he's almost like it's celebrating. It's back. We seen how much this kid goes. Um, but he's reportedly to be on a line with McDavid and Marner
Wilson. No, it's
and like
actually he practiced today. He's actually on a line with McDavid and Wilson.
that is insane.
That's their top line.
He is not going. He will work himself, but he will not have to work as hard, if you get what I mean. Like the times when he's normally like, okay, let me just pass to the guy who's up ice and then bust my ass to catch up so he can give and go me and I can get the zone. Well, the guy he's passing to up ice is McDavid, and he's not catching McDavid. I don't care what sort of plot armor speed Celebrini has. Like it's going to be glorious. I'm super looking forward to celebrate gold medal Celebrini. I'm worried he's going to come back and drag us to the playoffs.
Where's your conspiracy theory? Hey, this is all just a ploy for the Sharks to get McDavid. Because I don't know, that guy really wants to stick around the Oilers.
Did you not read the Player Tribune article that McDavid wrote? He loves it in Edmonton. He would never leave.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
they all say that.
Well, you say these things, but there's somebody else on that Olympic squad, and that somebody else might want, a shot at a cup next season before he retires. And I'm just saying, Sid would look good in teal.
Let's go full circle with the Sherwood thing. Sherwood sure did seem sad to be leaving Vancouver, didn't he? But all of a sudden, he sure does seem to be excited about being for the Sharks. Guys, 3 stars of this period or this week. Who you got here? This is a bad week for actual NHL games for the Sharks.
Misa's getting my 3rd just because he continues to just be more present. He just seems to be in plays where
when Warzo lets him on the ice, yes.
Yeah, when he gets shifted. And the other thing I like is he just seems to be getting pissy out there. Like, I don't know. I think once Misa gets comfortable, he's going to start throwing some hits, and we're going to be surprised. My 2nd goes to our keepers. Like, those Ned has been winning me over this season to the point where I almost don't want him to get traded for value. Askarov is fun to watch. Askarov, I'm sorry, I need to go find footage of Hasek's like young seasons before he became full crazy slinky. Because I swear there's times Askarov reminds me of Hasek. And
they're both very athletic. They're both very athletic goalies, which I think and that's reflected by like when he goes diving across the side of the crease. He definitely kind of has that look to him.
And I think the first star goes to Will Smith's wrist shot. Like, it's just
that's very pretty.
It is crazy that he is beating goalies who know it's coming near side consistently.
Yeah, I'm going to go next, Ben, if that's okay with you. I'm going to give my 3rd star to Kiefer Sherwood, Will Smith, and Kurashev just for coming back from injury. All 3, I felt, even though Sherwood only had 1 game towards the end of that game, I do feel like he contributed. So, I'm going to give it to them. 2nd star, I am going to give to Askarov because, tell you what, dude stood on his head in that Avs game. that should have been 20-0 in the first period. And he, I know he has some ups and downs. He's still a really young goaltender. They tend to mature late. The Sharks put him in very quickly. He's doing well. I have no. I think he's got some obvious things he needs to work on. But I love his attitude and his commitment. And, when he does stand on his head, he stands on his freaking head. So he's going to get that 2nd star for me. My 1st star, Ben, you're going to disagree with this once it comes out of my mouth, but give me a second. My 1st star is going to be Warsofsky. Now, hold on. Don't pounce. Mainly because I get a kick out of him swearing on television. It happens a lot. And in the Avs game, when the Sharks had a goal overturned, which you kind of saw coming only because they were not showing any top-down camera angles, which tells you you're not going to see where the line is, which tells you the NHL is going to be stupid and go, even though it's very clearly over the line, we can't see the line because Makar's head's blocking it.
By the way, actually, the reason they blew that or they released the explanation afterwards, the ref on the ice said he blew the whistle before it crossed the line.
Well,
that was the
way,
official explanation.
When they were reviewing it, you kind of knew that was going to happen because then they cut back to him and you just see the most blatant, what the fuck? Yeah. And he does that a lot. And I don't know what it is. My boys are really young. I don't really like them swearing, but boy, do they start laughing hysterically whenever the camera cuts over to Warsofsky. It's usually on a goal challenge because there's been quite a few. And the Sharks are getting a little bit robbed in those, and he just lets it rip in a way. I know he doesn't know he's doing it, like he's not thinking the camera's on him at that moment, but his lip he emphasizes it in such a way that he wants to make sure that everyone, whether you're deaf or maybe even blind, you can still see it. You can still see what he's saying. So
maybe that's the joke. He's doing it that way because he's letting the ref know, hey, your eyesight is so bad, I need to do it.
Yeah, it could be. I find it funny.
So, I don't know. This is sounding like maybe maybe they got to Alex. That sounded like some hard shilling for this coach.
Now you know what? I'll be honest with you. I'm not. I go back and forth on Warsofsky. There are decisions that the decision he made not this week but the week before, the overtime decision. I thought I understood why he did it. I thought it was the wrong call every way you look at it. Like I knew what the justification was going to be before he even gave it, and I was like, but that's not how you should be coaching, and not against the team you're coaching. And his light up stuff on and off just drives me absolutely bonkers. But I don't completely have my pitchfork out yet. I'm not thoroughly impressed either. But you're 3 stars. 3 stars.
Yeah. My third star is Kurashev. 2 points in 3 games since he came back. Keeping on. Second star is Askarov for the same reason. He stood on his head in the Avs game, and he's been so inconsistent this year that I have to reward him for when he has a good game.
You gotta give him a good treat, like you're like
a treat, exactly.
Like you're doggy training him.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and then
if he has a bad game, are you gonna be over there with some apple cider vinegar spraying it in his mask?
No. I'll spritz him like a cat with water. Anytime he tries to handle the puck behind his net when he shouldn't,
stay in the goal.
I'm just gonna fucking skate over to him in the crease and fucking spritz him. Bad. My first star is Will Smith, not just because of how his goal short side on that cross crease pass from Celebrini, but he has 6 points in the game since he came back from injury, 5 games. So fuck yeah, concrete.
Yeah, he's good. All right, guys. Well, listen, the Sharks have a long break, sort of. They're off basically for about 2.5 weeks. They come back and they play Calgary on the 26th, and then I'm going to the game on the 28th where they play the Oilers with a group of friends, and we all get together and we go to one game a season, and we magically pick that one. Otherwise, you can watch some of the Sharks as they play in the Winter Olympics, not Eklund for whatever reason, but everyone else seemingly.
Yeah, that was lame.
Yeah. But the Sharks, where are they in the standings? Well, good question. I am glad you asked while I hit refresh on the browser. The Sharks have they're kind of back in a wild card spot, right? Is this right?
Ooh.
No.
Are they?
This isn't right.
No, they're not.
I hit refresh and it refreshed the wrong date. Hold on. They slipped out. Thank you. I was looking at that and I was like, what the? Did everyone else lose? Sharks are outside the wild card spot right now. They have 58 points. So I'm going to go by the wild card standings at this point. Sharks basically have 58 points. Above them is Nashville with 59 points. The Kings are at 60 and they just got Panarin. And then the Ducks have 63. The Mammoth have 64. If you do want to look at it from a division standpoint, the Sharks are currently 6th in the division. Again, they've got 58 points. Above them are the Kings and the Ducks and Kraken, all within reach. And I would say Oilers are not completely out of reach quite yet. And then a decent way down is the Calgary Flames at 52 points. And then overall, if you're rooting for draft picks, because you can do that on and off with the way the Sharks seem to be playing, the Sharks right now are in the 25th of 32 spot. So they would be drafting within the top 10.
Yay.
That's right. And they're still lottery eligible. Yeah, eligible. So, and maybe McKenna, even if they're not, maybe McKenna falls to them because scouts don't like people who defend their families for whatever reason or get sunburns. Again, we're lucky to have Chernyshov. So weirder things will happen with the way that teams and scouts look at NHL players. Hey, that concludes this week's podcast. You can check this podcast out on the Apple Podcast app. You can rate it if you'd like to. That'd be super cool. Maybe then Brody Brazil will notice us and interview us ahead of the 50 other groups he's talked to. We're just kidding, Brody. We love you, and we get it. We get it. You can, Android people, work it out yourselves or probably go to Spotify. There's also circlingthecup.com, which has our podcast. You can listen on the web. No news and stuff like that. We don't do that. Facebook.com/circlingthecup. And of course, Ben at the Twitters, probably yelling at Warsofsky and getting us all shadow banned at at Circling the Cup, right? Yeah, right. Exactly. All right. Well, guys, hey, Sharks up, down, but I tell you what, still fun, still exceeding my expectations for the season, and that's exciting, as is. Looking forward to the Olympics, looking forward to the Sharks coming back, ready to go and see where the trade deadline and the end of the season takes us. Say bye-bye.
Looking forward to Ben putting a shot collar on the goalie.
I think that Ben's already left the podcast. I can hear him talking from across the room. Couldn't even wait like 2 seconds. Just got up, walked away, other side. Oh, yeah, hold on. You guys are still going? Goodbye.
Wait, hold on. Oh, yeah, the wrong mic. That's crazy. Oh. I was just saying that if I were Brody, I wouldn't put me on the podcast either.
I agree.
Yeah, for the record, we are a little more negative on the team than their podcast, but we still love the team. I think we said that before. We want to be honest about where we think they are. And that's all.
We're just not lick spittles.
Like, yeah, I don't. Now I want Skittles, and you didn't even say Skittles, so we're gonna leave on that. Bye. All right, I gotta go call a pergola company and yell at them.
Have fun.
Yeah, talk to you guys later.
Later.
Bye.